So welcome, everyone. Tonight, we are going to be formally introducing ourselves and our office, our philosophy with regard to college counseling here at the Meadows School. We'll be introducing you to our advisory curriculum as it relates to college counseling and what we teach and how we integrate the college search application and admissions process with your students on a yearly basis. We're going to touch on college research, the importance of research, and how you can use the tools available to you, including Naviance, SelfDiscovery, and the role that SelfDiscovery plays in thinking about your future aspirations for your students, and also what our students have already done in advisory to launch their to explore themselves, and then we're going to dive into some questions and answers about transcripts and curriculum choices, how those tell a story about who you are as a student and what your passions and interests are, how to get involved here at the Meadows, and how to maximize your time. We're going to take a tour of our college counseling website so you can see all of the many tools and educational opportunities that are available for you, as well as the videos that are on the college counseling YouTube, and some final words of advice. So that is our agenda for the evening. Okay, so my name is Melissa Lustig. I'm the Director of College Counseling. If you don't know me, this is my third year here at the Meadows School. Previously, I was a college counselor at Aspen High School in Aspen, Colorado for 6 years. And before that, I worked in college admissions for 12 years, 9 years at Colorado College, which is a highly selective institution, and 3 years at Ursinus College, better known as a Colleges That Changed Lives school on the outskirts of Philadelphia. So that's a little bit about my background. And I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague, Barbara. Barbara, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
This is my first year at the Meadows School, but it's my 15th year in college counseling. I actually was in Las Vegas before at Bishop Gorman, and then transferred to Nashville. So I was in Nashville for about 7 years and then found myself back in Las Vegas, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Our model of college counseling is all about the student. We're student-centered. We focus on developing relationships with your students to help them plan for their futures. We seek to understand your students' strengths and skills, talents, and interests. We're trying to guide your students in telling their stories to the colleges and also empowering them to take ownership of their educational journey. High school is a time of growth and change, accomplishments and challenges, and all of it should be seen as learning opportunities that can help your students clarify what their educational goals and aspirations are. We are dedicated to helping each student achieve admission to appropriate colleges of their choice through thoughtful consideration of options. Your students are very fortunate to have 2 college counselors, which allows for much more personalized attention. And we divide the class alphabetically. So Mrs. Stewart works with families' last names A through L. I work with families' last names M through Z. Each student is unique and special in their own way. And our mission is to help students find the right fit and match for their academic, extracurricular, social, and financial needs. And together, we will expose your students to the many options that exist, chart a course with goal-oriented action steps, and hopefully have fun along the way. We are extremely fortunate to have an advisory program here at the Meadows where college counseling can teach students about the college search application and admissions process while also giving students time to work on the various components of their applications. Each year, we incorporate different lessons and different exercises and activities into advisory. So that way your students can navigate this journey over time. They don't feel overwhelmed. It really de-stresses the process. And they feel like they're more informed and educated and more empowered. And we're going to be talking more about our advisory curriculum as it relates to college counseling in a little bit tonight. Parents, the Meadows School and the college counseling team has an educational plan in place for your students, for you and your students to get them to where they want to go. We will, this includes everything from advisory to evening programs to individual meetings and appointments. We're going to work with you from soup to nuts to make sure that your questions are answered. For parents, this process really begins by joining conversations such as this and educating yourself. So we want to thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. Each presentation is unique and different, and we deliver different information. So the best thing you can do in guiding your students and helping them to manage their stress is to just stay informed and ask questions from the experts, such as us. We believe in partnering with parents in a triangular approach. In other words, if you think of it as a three-legged stool, no one knows your students like you do. No one knows the colleges and the admissions process like we do. So our relationship is one of mutual support and working collaboratively. Each of us has a role to play in helping our students accomplish their goals and fulfilling their dreams for their future. We want you to trust the process, trust our knowledge, and trust our experience. So at this point, Mrs. Stewart is going to talk about our advisory program and the role of college counseling in advisory.
So our advisory program is relatively new. This is the second year that college counseling has had the opportunity to provide programming specifically for the purpose of helping students with all aspects of college planning. Last year, we were able to work with juniors during advisory on college research, developing their college list, helping them to create their common application, writing their essays, and really everything imaginable as it relates to the college counseling process. This year, we're fortunate enough to be able to work with freshmen and sophomores to help them to start to lay a foundation for what lies ahead as it relates to college. A key component of this foundation is giving students tools to be successful academically, to help them understand the importance of getting involved, and to help students gain perspective on who they are, how they learn, what career paths they may want to learn more about. This year in freshman advisory, we have introduced students to college counseling. We've completed 2 assessments in Naviance, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. We've provided a lesson on time management and started building a resume. In sophomore advisory, we've provided students with a college counseling timeline, introduced students to Naviance, and talked about colleges who are visiting the Meadows either in person or virtually, and showed them how they could sign up on Naviance to attend a college visit. They completed an assessment in Naviance, again, which we will talk more about in just a few minutes, and started building their resume. As you can see, there are some overlaps this year between the freshman and sophomore programs because this is the first year that we've been able to provide programming for both groups. Moving forward, each grade level will have their own unique advisory curriculum, and we're looking forward to working with your students through our advisory program. Advisory is incredibly important. I cannot stress that enough. It is a conduit not only for providing important information, but also for allowing time to complete activities that are an integral part of the college process. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of students taking advantage of what is offered in advisory and using the time given to them to complete the activities provided. And we want to encourage parents to check with your student, find out what they're doing in advisory, take a look at the activities, and encourage your student to take advantage of what is being offered. If you take advantage of all of the college-related programming that's offered in advisory, by the end of the junior year, you will have created a college list that is unique to you based on who you are and where your interests lie. And you will have already completed a significant portion of your actual college application, freeing up precious time during senior year and greatly reducing your stress levels. So that's just a little bit about advisory. We're going to talk a little bit about Naviance and some of the assessments that we've done in advisory in just a couple minutes. But Ms. Lustig's now going to talk a little bit about college research and Naviance.
So a big question for all of our students and parents, of course, is where do I even start? Where do I begin this overwhelming process? The first thing that we want to say is we are here to help you. And we have actually found over the past 10 years that our students here at the Meadows seem to be applying to the same colleges over and over and over again for the past 10 years with mixed results. We are here to release you from that pressure and those limitations. The reality is that there are over 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States alone. And we want to broaden our students' understanding of choices. There's a college out there for everyone, and you can get a great education anywhere because so much of the experience is what you make of it. Think of the college search as if you're building a house. When you're building a house, do you start with the roof? No. You start with the foundation. I use the same analogy when approaching the college search. I recommend that students begin starting with the foundation, specifically those foundation schools. These are schools where students are confident that they will be admitted based on academic criteria. They have the programs, the colleges have the programs that the student is interested in, and they are affordable. You know that you can afford them. This is often the hardest place to start in the admissions process, in the college search process, because so many students have, you've heard of name brand schools, but there are so many other foundation schools that you may not have heard about that are worth discovering. That can offer you a fantastic opportunity for your education. And we want you to explore those and make sure that you have choices on your list. We want to ensure that come springtime of senior year, our students have options and choices that they're excited about. So then moving on from the foundation schools, as between the foundation and the roof, of course, you have the walls, which I consider the target schools or overlap schools. These are schools where students will, generally, if you look at their admissions profile, students will fall in like the mid 50 percentile in terms of their grades, their test scores, and their accomplishments. So when you're analyzing what the admissions profile is for the college and your students' accomplishments, they're competitive, but it's not necessarily a sure thing. These are colleges that generally admit, I would say, between 40 and 60% of their students. So again, not highly selective, but also not foundation schools either. It's not a sure thing. So they have about a 50-50 chance of getting in. And then, of course, you have your reach schools. Those are the roof institutions. And we consider any institution that admits less than a third of their school, of their students, of their applicants, to be highly selective. And the schools that admit less than 15%, and certainly less than 10%, we consider those elite, our most competitive institutions. Ideally, we want our students to apply to 8 to 10 institutions, 2 to 3 foundation schools, 4 to 5 target schools, and 1 to 2 reach institutions. One of the most important things as we help our students manage their stress and produce applications that are exemplary is ensuring that students have the time and energy to devote to their applications. And the more applications that students submit, the more stretched they are in terms of their time and energy. And the quality will suffer as a result. So we prefer that students concentrate their time and attention on those 8 to 10 schools, do their research, and really put their best foot forward in their applications. One of the best ways to conduct research, and one of the tools that you have accessible to you, is Naviance. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop sharing for a moment, and I'm going to toggle over to Naviance right now. So that way you can see some of the features of Naviance and all the different resources that are available. So all your students have Naviance, and you as parents also have Naviance. So if you would like your contact information, your login information, all you need to do is contact Ms. Hines, and she can provide you with your login information. But your students already have this, and they've been working on Naviance starting freshman year already, as you can tell based on the curriculum. So what I'd like to show you is, and I can just log into my freshman account here. If you can see at the very top here that there are various components, various portals, SelfDiscovery, careers, colleges, and a planning section. So if you click on the colleges tab, under colleges, you will see that there's this really neat function called Supermatch. And Supermatch will allow students to search for colleges based on various different criteria. So if you have no idea where to start, this is a great place to begin your search, because you can choose criteria that varies everything from location, academics, different majors that you're interested in, the admissions profile, so what the acceptance rate is of those institutions and your GPA, student life characteristics, institutional characteristics such as 2-year, 4-year institutions, size of the institutions, if you're interested in particular athletics or sports. I would say that as you begin your search, you want to cast a wide net. Don't go too specific, because otherwise you'll end up with very limited range of options. So maybe 1 or 2 criteria to start with as you're just starting. And then especially if you have a specific idea of what you're looking for, maybe you want to be in a metropolitan area, maybe you want a specific area of study, you can enter that information in. The other thing that you have available to you is, if you go back to the college's home tab, and right up here, you type in the name of a college. You can type in, for example, let's just type in University of Southern California. And when University of Southern California comes up, when you click on that institution, what you'll see is a whole flurry of a variety of information available to you about that particular school. You can see their acceptance rates, you can see their graduation rates, their deadlines. And as you scroll down, you can see more information about where you as a student, as sophomores, you have a grade point average at this point. And so you will be able to see where you fall within the spectrum of the GPA, of the academic profile of students who have been admitted to USC. You can also see, based on test scores, the national average, and eventually you'll be able to see your averages as well. In addition to that, if you toggle over to admissions portal right over here on those institutions, on each institution, you'll be able to see all the different data from the Meadows for as long as we've been collecting data in Naviance. Naviance is a really, really powerful tool. And so I encourage you to play with it. You'll see how many students have applied. As you can see, USC is one of those schools that almost all of our students apply to. We really do want to push our students kind of outside their comfort zone to think about, not that USC is a bad school at all, but we want our students to consider all of their options. So, but you can see where they apply, who's applied, and you can also see down here what's called a scattergram. And this shows you, based on who has applied, if they've been admitted or if they have been waitlisted or denied. And there's a legend down here at the bottom. If you hover over these particular check marks, you'll be able to see the criteria or the statistics of those particular students. Keep in mind that this is only quantitative information, and there's many components to the application and the admissions process, but this gives you a frame of reference and a barometer, at least in terms of, who's been admitted and what they're looking for. So that's a little bit about Naviance. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint now. So hang on one second. Okay, so starting in sophomore year, students can also use Naviance to sign up for college visits. Students can see what colleges are visiting through their Naviance accounts, as well as through our website. And we'll be showing you the website in just a little bit. But we want to encourage, this is the first year that our sophomores have been invited to attend college visits and to interact with our college representatives, to ask questions, to learn about their options. And we're so excited that our students can begin sooner in this journey, because we want you to be as informed as possible. The more informed you can be, the more educated decision you'll be able to make about what college is the right fit for you. So we've actually shown our sophomores how to sign up for college visits through one of our lessons in advisory. And we've also reviewed questions that are appropriate to ask an admissions counselor. These visits are really crucial. They are opportunities for students to develop relationships with our counselors. Typically, the admissions director who is visiting the Meadows, whether through Zoom or in person, is typically the counselor who is reading our student's application. So it immediately puts a face to a name and develops a rapport and a dialogue. And even for colleges, some colleges in their admissions process do track what's called contact history. So how often and in what capacity students reach out to the colleges. If they visit, did a student attend the visit? Not all colleges do this, especially colleges that see 100,000 applications. They can't necessarily track all that contact history. But I can tell you that if a college like UCLA visits and only one student shows up, as was the case for UC Irvine, actually, only one student showed up for that college representative visit, they will remember your name. They will remember that you were the one who showed up. So even if they don't formally track your contact, you're developing a relationship, and do not underestimate the value of that connection. So sign up, can't encourage that enough. Every fall this fall we had over 112 colleges visit, which is a record number. And we hope that number will continue to grow, and we intend to push for that. Attend college fairs, take tours. In person is always preferable, of course, but do it safely. Given the pandemic, there are many colleges that still aren't offering tours, but many are, depending upon vaccination status. So the best thing to do is just go on their college website, learn about their policies, and sign up. There are college fairs locally as well as virtually, and also college tours that are virtual as well. But nothing takes the place of getting boots on campus. really seeing for yourself what a college is like, picturing yourself there, feeling that kinesthetic, like that intrinsic gut reaction to an institution. Sometimes it's just about a matter of that feel, quite honestly. And the only way to know is to go visit at some point. Take advantage of your breaks, take advantage of long weekends to conduct those visits. And the best way to schedule your visit is going directly to the college's website, going to their admissions page. Usually they will have a calendar and specific days and times that you can sign up based on what's available. I will forewarn you that California schools tend to fill up very, very quickly. About a month in advance is about right in terms of signing up for tours and visits. From a broader perspective, going beyond the college visit, if you can't visit, which many students can't or won't. For example, when I was in high school, I didn't have the money to be able to visit colleges. And so I applied. And then based on where I was admitted, I then went to go visit. I also didn't want to be overly emotional about my decision. And I didn't want to get too connected, to an institution. I wanted to kind of be more rational about it and wait until I saw, okay, these are really what my options are. And now I'm going to go check them out. But we want our students to consider several important factors when they're thinking about college research. We call them the P's, the 5 P's: people, place, price, program, and probability. Okay, so let's break this down, shall we? People, both inside and outside the classroom. It's important to determine what kind of academic culture and learning environment you are interested in. Are you interested in a competitive culture, or do you want a more laid back and collaborative community? What is the campus ethos and personality? Okay, each school is unique unto themselves, just like your students are. Are you seeking a voracious learning community or a balance between work hard and play hard? Do you prefer discussion-based classes, or do you prefer more lecture-oriented classes that offer a bit more anonymity? Do you really appreciate and learn from that personalized attention and that one-on-one conversations with your faculty, with your peers, or do you learn primarily through taking notes and listening? How do you absorb information? Okay. How does your style of learning align with the teaching philosophy and the curriculum? Are you a hands-on learner? If so, there are colleges out there that offer experiential learning, that offer what we call co-op programs that allow students that actually pay students and give students college credit for jobs and help students find those opportunities in areas of industry that they might be interested in. So what kind of people do you want to be surrounded by? What kind of academic environment do you want to be immersed in? If you're looking at I will tell you, the reality is that if you're looking at highly selective and the most selective elite institutions, you will be surrounded by students who can do it all, who want to do it all, and who make it look easy. Place. What kind of location are you looking for? What kind of weather or seasons do you prefer? How close do you want to be to a major metropolitan area? Think about the culture in the different parts of the country. Just saying you want to be in a metropolitan area isn't enough, because let's face it, New York is very different from Atlanta, which is very different from San Francisco, which is very different from Seattle. So think about the kinds of the industries in those particular cities that are available to you when it comes to careers, when it comes to internships, when it comes to research opportunities, and think 5 to 10 years down the road as well. Where do you see yourself? You're going to be building a network in your immediate area and vicinity, and chances are that you may be putting down roots in that area. So think about, what is the surrounding community like? How do students take advantage of the surrounding community? And what opportunities are available? Do they stay on campus? Do they leave campus? These are all questions that are worthwhile to ask. Price point. The elephant in the room. First of all, I will say, please do not let sticker shock stop you or prevent you from exploring all of your options. Most students and families do not pay full freight, do not pay the full sticker price for their college education. Many colleges offer generous financial aid and or merit scholarships for admitted students. But you have to know what the financial application process entails. How are students considered for merit scholarships? What kind of criteria are they are they competitive for? I will tell you that for students for whom cost is a factor that want to mitigate their expenses, it would behoove you to look at colleges that are, quite honestly, less selective. Because typically those schools, if you are a highly competitive student, a high achieving student, a strong student, and you're applying to a school where you are significantly above their typical admissions profile, right? If you have a 3.8 GPA or a 4.3 weighted GPA, and their average GPA is 3.5, that means that they're going to really want you. They're going to not only admit you, but if they offer merit aid, chances are you will see some of that money because they're going to want to woo you. They're going to want to lure you to their institution. And so that's why when we're counseling students where financial aid is a factor, we might recommend adding more foundation schools to your list. So that way, you're applying to colleges that are essentially paying you to attend, not the opposite. One of the things that I often tell my students is that if a college wants you because you will see it in the money. One of the programs and one of the recordings that we offer on YouTube that you'll be able to access is our financial aid. We actually have 2 different financial aid workshops and presentations. So if you want to learn more and get a head start on the financial aid ins and outs and scholarships, that's a great resource for you. Program, right? This is another important P. Does the college offer the major and the programs that you're looking for? Do your research by going on the college's website, going on their individual department pages, taking a look at the courses. Do they interest you? How many teachers are in that department? If research is important to you, what kind of research are the students engaging in? And for that matter, is it available for freshmen and sophomores, or is it going to seniors and graduate students? So how accessible are those opportunities? So what happens also if you change your mind in terms of your major? Does the college offer you flexibility in terms of a variety of options and choices that you can easily, navigate and change directions from one major to another if you change your mind? We really want you to keep your options open at the early stage and make sure that you're not pigeonholing yourself unless you absolutely know what you want to do. And then we can really dive into those choices. Finally, probability. What are we talking about here? We're talking specifically about admissions and what are your chances of being admitted. We strongly encourage you to begin with a realistic understanding of just how competitive the college admissions landscape is among highly selective and elite institutions. Like I said, we consider highly selective schools to be typically those that admit less than a third of their student applicants. Most selective colleges, those elite schools, typically have admission rates of less than 15%. So here's another way to think of it. Stanford has an acceptance rate of 5%. So that means that for every 100 students who apply to Stanford, 5 are being admitted. And the vast majority of these students are exceptional students as well. For you freshmen, or parents of freshmen, you might be saying to yourself, it's too early to determine my competitiveness. I don't even have a semester GPA yet. And you're right to some extent. But keep in mind that colleges care about freshman year. It's all part of your record. Finally, as you launch fully into this process, we encourage you to create a new email address for yourself as you begin signing up for tours, information sessions, reaching out to colleges, taking standardized tests, signing up for scholarships, summer programs, etc. You will be inundated in email, and colleges communicate via email. So it's really important to be checking that email on a regular basis. And you want to make sure that you have a college dedicated email address so it doesn't overwhelm your the student's Meadows email. So on that note, Mrs. Stewart is now going to be talking about the role of self-discovery and how important that is in the college journey and how you can use Naviance, how your students are using Naviance to help them.
So starting your college research early is so important because it gives you an opportunity to really kind of create that list at the end of the day that is unique and personal and fits you. And one of the pieces to doing that, all of the steps that Ms. Lustig just talked about are so important and it's so insightful. But I want to back it up just a little bit to say that one of the best gifts that you can give yourself is, as a student, really starting to understand who you are in a variety of different ways. And Naviance is actually just a wonderful wonderful tool to help you do some of that research. And I want to talk a little bit about the self-discovery. And when you go into your Naviance, you can click on that self-discovery tab and you can see all the different assessments that Naviance offers. And we will integrate all of these into advisory at some point. We have started doing that with freshmen and sophomores already, and juniors are moving through the next wave of the assessment. So just I want to touch on 4 of those assessments tonight so that you have an idea about what some of these resources are, because this can really help you to lay the foundation of who you are, understanding who you are, kind of where you might want to go as you start to do that college research. This can be a helpful tool. So the first assessment I want to talk about is AchieveWorks Intelligences. The completion of this assessment actually generates a 32-page report that helps you understand how to play to your strengths. Some of the intelligence highlighted include linguistics intelligence, which helps you to understand and use language properly in reading, writing, and speaking. It is one of the main intelligences linked with success in school. Interpersonal intelligence, which helps you to understand how you relate to others, seeing the world from their perspective, how you build relationships, have influence, and communicate both verbally and non-verbally. Existential intelligence is not to be confused with existentialism. It highlights your ability to see the big picture and how everything fits together. Interpersonal intelligence demonstrates your ability to understand yourself and to reflect on your own thinking and behavior. And then emotional intelligence, or EI, affects your ability to judge what others are thinking or feeling. And this is actually a blend of your interpersonal understanding others and your intrapersonal understanding yourself scores. So you can imagine if this assessment generates a 32-page report, it's going to give you some pretty good insight into your intelligences. It also highlights the strengths and the challenges for each of these areas, and recommendations are given on how to strengthen your intelligence in each of these areas. We have not yet offered that to 9th and 10th graders. That will be coming down the road, but just kind of have an idea that that's something that your students will be taking advantage of in advisory at some point. The next assessment I want to talk about is the learning and productivity assessment. And 9th graders have already taken this assessment in advisory. And this assessment generates a 19-page report and identifies your learning and productivity preferences. The results will help you understand sensory, environmental, and mindset factors that help you study and provides recommendations for improving your learning environment. So as students are going through this assessment, they're answering questions about, do you like to snack when you study? Do you prefer a sofa or a chair and a table? Do you like your environment to be cooler or warmer? And it puts all of this information together, and it identifies kind of like what your preferences are and gives you suggestions for how to improve your learning environment. So this is something that's already been done. Ninth graders have already been done, and those results are, the reports are available in Naviance. So if you have taken this advice, if you've taken this assessment and you haven't looked at your results, I encourage you to do that. And parents, I encourage you to sit down with your student to see, kind of what, how your student is learning and what kinds of things you might be able to do together to improve that learning environment. And then the next one is one of my favorites. It's the AchieveWorks personality. And this has already been given to 9th and 10th graders in advisory. Many of you are familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, and this is based on that assessment. It produces a 12-page report which identifies strengths and challenges in the areas of learning, communication, work productivity, and working with others. And it identifies temperament traits that help you to understand how you perceive the world. So the temperament traits that are compared and contrast include introvert versus extrovert, sensing versus intuition, thinking versus feeling, judging versus perceiving. And the results highlight potential careers in every field based on who you are and allows you to drill down into what a potential career might look like. It gives you day-to-day activities, the skills needed to be successful, potential salaries, and related college majors. So I think that is something that is very, very helpful as you start your college research. So again, parents and students, I encourage you to go back and look through your results and see, what can you take away from that as you start to move forward. And then the last one I want to highlight today is something that we will be completing in both 9th and 10th grade advisory. We haven't implemented that yet, but it's the Career Cluster Finder. And completion of the Career Cluster Finder generates an 8-page report that displays the national career clusters that best fit you based on interests and personal qualities identified through your answers on the assessment. National Career Clusters is a framework that organizes careers into clusters and pathways, which often align with academic programs and majors at colleges and post-secondary institutions. So this is just a little bit about some of the things that Naviance offers through self-discovery. There will be more, moving forward through 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, as well as senior year, and really encourage you to take advantage of all of the things that you can learn about yourself and how that can help you as you start to plan your future. Ms. Lustig's now going to talk to you a little bit about transcripts and curriculum choices.
Thank you. So your transcripts, including your grades, your progress over time, the classes you choose to take, these are evidence of your choices. Choices in terms of your work ethic, your motivation, choices in terms of whether you're prioritizing your academics, choices in terms of your academic interests and passions and your affinity for certain subjects. Freshmen, this is a time for you to set a strong foundation in your high school career for your future. Starting strong with your academic progress, exploring and expanding your intellectual interests, meeting new people, adapting to the high school experience, and learning how to advocate for yourself. These are important components of the freshman year experience. Sophomores, you are continuing that upward trajectory where you're increasingly challenging yourself and you're developing deeper relationships with your teachers. Be your best selves in your classes, because the reality is the reputation you are building now will influence whether your teachers are excited to teach you as juniors and seniors, and you need these teachers to be your advocates. Your transcript is the most prominent piece of your application, and so we want to take a little bit of time to explain our transcripts here at the Meadows. The Meadows, first of all, only reports semester grades. We don't report quarter grades. We don't report final grades. Students also earn a cumulative GPA, and the cumulative GPA reflects grade point average earned over time. So in other words, it's calculated by adding up the numerical values of all the grades that you've earned and dividing by the number of courses that you've taken. Unweighted GPA does not take into account honors designation or the weighting. It's purely reflective of grades. Weighted GPA is a reflection of grades and rigor. So honors classes are weighted an additional 0.02 per semester, and AP and AT classes are weighted an additional 0.03 per semester. If you would like a closer examination into your student's transcript and conversation about this, we are more than happy to arrange an individual meeting. Do colleges care about grades or challenging courses? What do they care more about? The reality is they care about both. Colleges want to know that you're capable of doing the work. And you need to ask yourself at the end of each semester, do my grades reflect my abilities? If yes, then fantastic, you're right on track. Keep up the great work. If not, consider what could be adjusted or changed. There's always room to grow, and there's always room for improvement. So you know what? Don't discount that upward trajectory because you're still starting your high school experience. When choosing classes, consider electives that might augment or align with your intellectual interests, such as if you're interested in STEM areas of study, what about intro to drones or coding? How about engineering design? If you love the fine arts, how about theater production or photography or studio art? If you are interested in business, how about personal finance and entrepreneurship? If you're interested in medicine, there's sports medicine, there's anatomy and physiology. If you love debate, if you're into more of the languages, there's forensics, there's journalism. You could take 2 languages at the same time. Think about how your courses tell the story of your interests and your passions. Consider challenging yourself in a variety of subjects as you think about the next 4 years and push yourself beyond your horizons. You don't know what you don't know in many ways. Maybe you don't know if you're interested in forensics, or you don't know if you're interested in photography unless you try it. Make sure, however, that if you're interested in taking any AP or AT classes, that you are taking the prerequisites, you know what those prerequisites are. The best thing to do is we encourage our students to review the course catalog, which can be found in your My Meadows, and look at, okay, what are the courses that you need to fulfill? And also what grades are necessary in those particular classes? Because you need to not only satisfy the course, but you need to do well in the course in order for students to earn the privilege of taking a more advanced class. AP classes are both AT and AP classes are college level classes. AP classes are more of a structured content and curriculum that is designed internationally, and students who typically will take an exam at the end of the year after they've taken an AP here, and if they earn typically 4s or 5s, they may be able to earn college credit. It really depends on the school, however. And it also depends on, what score the student earns. But there are still many colleges, including highly selective schools, that do offer credit for APs, and that's a great way to reduce your college expenses. AT classes, advanced topics classes, are specifically designed by Meadows teachers, and they allow students to dive deeper into a particular area of study, whether it's multivariable calculus or modern physics. It allows students to really explore a subject with greater nuance, greater complexity, and greater depth. And similar to at a college, these would be considered more of what you would think of as more of a 200 level class beyond the introductory level, where students can really have fun with a curriculum beyond just the basic fundamentals. Let's see. So the grades you earn, like I said, will determine whether you're granted permission. Parents The focus now should be on checking in with your students to assess their academic progress and communicating with them about how they're doing. With semester exams approaching in mid-December, clubs underway, winter sports, beginning and kind of already in progress. This is a good time to just have a check-in with your student, to reflect, to talk, to take their temperature in terms of their stress level, and to be a sounding board for them, to give them, comfort and reassurance, and sometimes just that confidence boost that they can do it, because sometimes they just need a little pat on the back and a little support and reassurance that you have all the faith and confidence in them, and they're capable of great things. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Stewart, who is going to talk about getting involved.
So as you transition into high school, if you're in ninth grade, as you're transitioning up through high school, if you're in 10th grade, we just really want to encourage you to really start getting involved if you haven't done so already. Try something new. Go to a club meeting. Going to a club meeting doesn't mean you have to commit to the club. Check it out. Go a couple times. Then you can decide if it's something that you want to pursue. No one's going to hold you to it. If you attend for a couple months and then you decide you want to move on, perfectly fine. But don't be afraid to try something new. And a lot of times we'll get questions about, should we be involved? Do colleges care if we're involved in a lot of activities? Is that really important? And colleges are really, looking for students who are actively involved in high school, and they're looking for students who are kind of diving deep into what they're involved in. So in the past, there's been kind of a myth that it's more important to be involved in a lot of things as opposed to a couple of things that you're really interested in. Dive down into the things that you're interested in. If it's one thing, if it's two things, great. If you're really interested in a lot of things, that's great, but there should be some depth to that activity. You shouldn't just be showing up so that you can put it on your resume. It should be something that you really enjoy. And as you dive into that and you start kind of going deeper, you want to think about stepping into a leadership role. Don't be afraid to step up and say, hey, I would like to develop my leadership skills. This is a great place to start to do that. And you want to think about your long-term goals. What are some potential activities that relate to your academic interests? Are you interested in being a lawyer? Check out the debate team. Are you interested in journalism? Check out a newspaper. Do you enjoy performing? Get involved in theater. What are some things that match up with the things that you're really interested in? And check those things out. But most importantly, you want to get involved in something that makes you happy. There are no good, better, or best activities. Whatever you enjoy is what you should do. Getting involved will enhance your high school experience, provide respite from your academic classes, and give you an opportunity to make new friends. The added benefit is that colleges love students who are involved. We don't want to get involved because of what colleges think. We want to be involved because it enhances our high school experience. The added benefit is that colleges love students who are involved. They don't care what you do. They just want to know that on your campus, you'll be an active, involved member in their community. And that involvement in high school is an indicator of future involvement in college. So really encourage you, if you haven't done so already, step out, try something new. If you're involved in something and it's really not something that you're particularly interested in continuing on, don't be afraid to exit from that and start in a new area. The goal is really to find something that makes you happy. And Ms. Lustig now is going to walk you through the college counseling website.
Yes. So over the past 3 years, we have added considerable content to our website and really built it into a robust resource and tool that is right at your fingertips. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to, again, pivot over to the college counseling website so you can see a little bit more about where to find those resources. In addition, if you go on, we've harnessed the power and the flexibility and the accessibility of Zoom by publishing and posting of presentations. So we have 18 videos so far on YouTube. One of the most recent ones that I would recommend our students and families watch is our 9th to 12th grade college counseling coffee, which was in October. One of the highlights towards I would say 3/4 of the way in is when we ask for audience participation. We ask some of the senior parents, what do you wish you had known when you had started this journey? And they give some really great tips and suggestions. So definitely recommend checking that out. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go in and go to the college counseling website and school.org, of course. Oh, hang on. All right, and if you click on academics, go directly to college counseling. Okay. We have our own page here, so you'll be able to see everything from additional information by grade, but over here on the right-hand side, you can browse, you can connect immediately with the video. Also, newsletters. If you click on the newsletters, we actually have newsletters available from the past 3 years. So in each of the newsletters, we feature information, everything ranging from summer programs to scholarships to tips and suggestions on, navigating this whole journey. We definitely recommend utilizing and rereading some of the newsletters if you might have missed them. Lots of information there. We have a new website or a new resource on standardized testing as well. It tells you a little bit more about the different kinds of tests and some of the lingo that you will need to be familiar with. Our school profile that tells you a little bit more about the curriculum and the context with which colleges are learning about the Meadows. Admission officer visits. This is where your students can see what colleges ended up visiting the Meadows and who their contact is. This is a great way for students and parents if you want to know, okay, who is our representative at Washington University in St. Louis? You can click on this link and you'll see that Avery Sutter is our admissions representative. And it's really easy, FYI, to do a Google search or to search on the WashU St. Louis website, for example, and find his contact information. If you wanted to, let them know that you are planning on visiting or that you're really interested in the school. And I would recommend students, I would recommend that, you are the one reaching out. Colleges really want the students to be front and center. And if you would like us to help you in those communications, we are more than happy to do that as well. And we will work with you. We won't do it for you, but we will do it with you and we will help you along the way. We have a testing calendar here, this tremendous resource on financial aid and scholarships. Oftentimes, students and parents will ask us, where do I find money? How can I find scholarship money? And what scholarships are available, even if I'm not a senior? This is a great resource. I recommend that students start with clicking on our site and then clicking on Nevada and national scholarship listings. If you click here, you'll be able to see there's about 100 scholarships that are available for students anywhere from $100 to $50,000 and more. Students available for students that are 14 years old, students available in middle school, and some that are only for juniors and seniors. So this is a great resource and a great place to start because we've vetted these scholarships. Lastly, I would say and again, there's more financial aid resources, FAFSA information, some articles, and websites and forums. college trips week for juniors, something your juniors have to look forward to. If you would like to learn more about that, didn't mean to actually click on that, but this is a really quintessential part of the junior year experience. And we are in the midst of planning it right now for our juniors. And then if you scroll down, you'll be able to see all the upcoming college counseling events. And your students can see what colleges. You can see that the Naval Academy will be visiting on the 3rd. We will have an NCAA College Bound Student Athlete presentation in February, and another coffee in March. So this is a great way to just keep track of the comings and goings, and to stay informed with regard to our office. So let me go ahead and stop this, and I'm going to go back to our website, or our PowerPoint presentation. So that's a little bit about the website and, again, how you can access all the resources. Finally, we'd like to conclude with some words of wisdom, words of advice, and Mrs. Stewart is going to launch that.
So we appreciate your time. I know we're out of time, so this is going to just be really quick. Some things that we've touched on, and we just want to kind of reiterate before we go, and that is just to encourage your students, if you're on this Zoom, to challenge yourselves to the best of your ability. And that's just not in the classroom, although it definitely is in the classroom, in terms of doing your work and taking classes that, if you're recommended for a higher level class, taking the risk and challenging yourself in that regard, but also stepping outside of your comfort zone and getting involved in a new activity and getting to know new people, and just kind of challenging yourself in just about every area as it relates to high school. And we're encouraging you to develop relationships with your teachers, because, as we've said before, they are your advocates. These are people who are dedicated to helping you to learn in their area of expertise, and they are happy to meet with you and talk with you and help you to develop in your knowledge in those areas. And don't be afraid to ask for help. If you are sitting in a class and you don't understand something that's being said, raise your hand. I know it can seem intimidating, but if you'll step up and do it, raise your hand and ask a question, I can guarantee that after class, there's going to be 10 other students in that class who've had the same question, but that were too afraid to ask the question. But if you're intimidated to raise your hand, that's okay. I understand that too. Send your teacher an email, stop by and talk to them after school or before school or during lunch. Don't let it go. If there's a concept you're not understanding, especially if it's something that's building on something else like math or science, and sometimes in the humanities, if you let that go and you don't get help on that, then you're just going to fall further and further behind. So don't hesitate to ask your teachers for help. You have to advocate for yourself, because they're not going to know if it's something that you're not grasping or you're not understanding. If it's a question, or if it's a concern that you have outside of the classroom, we have counselors, deans, mentors, whoever it is that can help you. Don't be afraid to reach out, because we are here to help you in any way that we can. Know the catalog, the student handbook, and the website. Again, this is important. It's important not only because it can help you to plan what you want to take as you move forward through your 4 years here, but also, again, as Ms. Lustig mentioned, if you're interested in taking an AP class, there are prerequisites, and you don't want to end up your junior or senior year wanting to sign up for that class and then finding out that you don't have time to take the prerequisites. So you just want to be very knowledgeable about where you want to go as it relates to your 4-year academic plan. And you want to make good choices. Or we're encouraging you to make good choices. The question is, should I do my homework or, hang out with my friends? Well, I would encourage you to do your homework, right? You know that's a good choice. Should I, walk the dog or try out for the play? Well, I might want to encourage you to try out for the play. Should I have the candy bar or should I eat the carrot? I don't have an opinion on that one. I think the candy bar sounds pretty good. So generally speaking, we encourage you to make good choices. And we know that you're capable of doing that, and encourage you along those lines. And then again, get involved in activities that make you happy. And, that sentence speaks for itself. and enjoy the journey. High school isn't something to get through. It's an opportunity to engage in learning, to develop lifelong friendships, and to discover your passions. And it's going to go fast. It's going to be over before you even realize that you got here. And before you know it, you're going to be meeting with us one-on-one, putting together your list and asking for recommendations and getting those applications out the door. So don't miss it. Don't miss the journey. Engage. And so we thank you so much for coming tonight and for allowing us to speak with you about something that we're very passionate about. And I think Ms. Lustig is going to close us out then.
Thank you, Mrs. Stewart. That was so well said. If you would like further information, if you would like to sit down with us individually and have a conversation about your student, with your student, we would be more than happy to do so. We encourage you to please reach out to Mrs. Hines, Linda_Hines at themeadowsschool.org for any appointments. We're taking appointments starting in January for freshmen, sophomores, juniors. Again, I work with families, last names N through Z. Mrs. Stewart works with families, last names A through L. And we just want to thank you again for joining us tonight. We hope that this has been informative, and we look forward to working with you through the future.